Hey, what's up everyone? How's it going? Hope you guys are all doing well. And a couple of weeks ago, GoPro released the new Hero 4 Session. This is basically a miniature version of their Hero 4 lineup of cameras. And what we're specifically interested is the price point. It basically comes at $399, the exact same price as the Hero 4 Silver edition. So if you're interested in seeing what the primary differences are between these two cameras, perhaps you're in this price range and you want to see what both cameras have to offer for your particular needs. So therefore, let's see which camera is best for you. Now, certainly the obvious difference between the two is certainly the GoPro Hero 4 Session's design. It's much more compact than all the other GoPros that you have come across. It's basically a symmetrical cube measuring about 37 millimeters. As you can see side by side, the Hero 4 Silver and Black Edition both measure about 59 millimeters in terms of its width, about 40 millimeters in terms of its height, and about 20 millimeters in terms of its thickness. Now, one of the real great things about the Session is, of course, that small form factor. That's one of the big selling features about it. It's going to make an especially great, sleek and streamlined helmet camera. If you do any kind of extreme sports and you want something really compact, I don't think you can get much more compact than this. And if you take a look at this shot over here, where we're taking a look at on my helmet, it's going to make a fantastic camera for people that shoot video on their motorcycles or do any kind of skateboarding, snowboarding. Anything smaller is always better on an action camera. And this thing definitely delivers a good punch in terms of video quality while maintaining a small form factor. In terms of weight, there's not a huge difference between the two. The Silver basically measures about 89 grams versus about 74 grams on the Hero Session. Now, in terms of the control interface and overall buttons, there's really not a lot on the Session. Basically, it only has two physical buttons. One is a large record button, which is really nice and handy, and the other one is just a basic power and Wi-Fi toggle button. And you can do a little bit of adjusting in terms of some of the Wi-Fi settings and application settings on the Session itself. But in order to change the resolution of your videos and photos and to really take control of the camera, you do definitely need to use your smartphone and use the GoPro app in order to basically control the entire device. On the other hand, the Silver allows you to basically adjust most of the controls and parameters of your videos and photos within the camera itself, thanks to the larger LCD display as well as the menu button. So you can pretty much control the entire camera without having to use an application on your smartphone, which is definitely a lot more convenient than having to use the smartphone all the time in order to change some of your essential camera settings. Additionally, you also don't have a screen like you do on the Hero 4 Silver, so monitoring becomes essential using the smartphone on the Session as well. Now, move forward and talking about battery performance, the Silver Edition basically has a 1160 milliamp hour battery that is a user replaceable, unlike the Hero 4 Session, which has a 1030 milliamp hour battery that's integrated into the camera. So that means you really can't keep going throughout your day if you have a couple of batteries with your Hero 4 Silver. After your Hero 4 Session battery dies, you pretty much have to put it on charge immediately in order to use it. So that's definitely going to slow some people down and might be a huge downside for a lot of folks out there that do all day shoots and do long trips where they don't have access to power. So in that case, the Hero 4 Session is quite limiting in terms of its battery capabilities and options. And in terms of the battery performance itself, I tested both cameras out for a couple of weeks at 1080p 30 frames per second, and both with the Wi-Fi on get around 2 hours in terms of runtime. So they're both pretty much identical in terms of the battery performance themselves, but the differences, of course, is you can always swap out the battery on your Hero 4 Silver and keep shooting throughout the day, versus the Hero 4 Session, after you run out of juice, you're pretty much dead in the water until you charge it back up again. Now, in terms of the ports and connectivity options, we do have more options on the Hero 4 Silver, as you would imagine. We have a micro HDMI connection for outputting a video to your TV or to a separate monitor. You have a mini USB connection that's used for data transferring, charging the device, as well as hooking it up to an external microphone for better audio, which a lot of people definitely like to use. Unfortunately, the Session does not have support for an external microphone connection, so you're stuck with the built-in microphones. In terms of its port, it basically only has one, which is micro USB for data transferring and charging, and you're going to be storing all your videos and photos on a micro SD card, just like all the Hero 4 cameras. Now, moving forward, let's actually talk about the video and stills capabilities of both these two cameras. Now, in terms of stills, the Hero 4 Silver can shoot 12 megapixels. Both cameras have time-lapse and ProTune capabilities, but there is a difference in terms of resolution. You're looking at 8 megapixels on the Hero 4 Session. Now, in reality, there's really not going to be a big difference between the two. Now, even though there's basically a 4 megapixel difference, I think both of them pretty much offer the same level of clarity and the overall look that you're going to get because essentially both cameras are using the same imaging sensor. Now, moving forward, let's talk about the main thing, and that's video capturing capabilities. On the Hero 4 Session, you're definitely limited in terms of some of the options compared to what the Hero 4 Silver can do. The Hero 4 Silver, even though it's not really a proper 4K camera, you can shoot 4K video at 15 frames per second, which is kind of unusable in my opinion. If you want to do 4K, go to the black edition. But it can do 2.5K, that's 2560 by 1440 at 30 frames per second, and it's great in terms of that quad HD resolution. Now, unfortunately, the Session is not capable of doing quad HD and 4K resolution, so that's out of the picture there, but you can do 1920 by 1440p on both cameras. But again, you have more frame rate options on the Hero 4 Silver, and that's pretty much the trend as you move down the list and move down the resolutions. Basically, we do have a decent amount of options on the Hero 4 Session, but again, not to the same level as we find on the Silver and indeed the black version of the Hero 4. Now, thankfully, we do have the super view options in both 1080p and 720p on the Session. That's great if you want to get that wide angle perspective. I'm a big fan of that kind of look. And let's actually move on and take a look at a side-by-side difference between the two. Now, what we're going to do is just basically use the exact same 1920 by 1080p setting on both of these two cameras and set them to about 30 frames per second, so we have a good baseline of what both cameras can do. And as you can see, side by side, there's really not a big difference between the two in terms of actual video quality. Now, you can do higher frame rates, as we mentioned before, as well as a higher resolution with 2560 by 1440, as well as 4K on the Hero 4 Silver. But if you're going to be shooting a lot of 1920 by 1080p stuff for most of your things that you're going to capture with your GoPro, and you really want something more compact, you might be more interested in the Hero 4 Session in those regards. But generally speaking, if you just want more options and capabilities at the same price, you might be more interested in the Hero 4 Silver if form factor is not a big deal for you. But really, other than that, guys, that's really it. Definitely leave a comment down below if you have any questions at all, and give me a thumbs up if you like this video, helped you out in any way, and check out our B&H links for both of these products down below if you're interested in perhaps purchasing something from B&H, perhaps these particular cameras. It's going to help support the channel. It doesn't cost you anything extra, but it helps make videos like this possible. We definitely like to thank everybody for their support using our affiliate links on a regular basis. It's a great way to help us out and make better and better content. So thanks again for watching, and we'll see you later. Take care.